Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the AskIoT video series presented by IoT for All, the number one publication and resource for the Internet of Things. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon. On today's episode, we have Bolis Ibrahim, the CEO and co-founder of Argentum Electronics, and they are a company that is focused on improving the value and efficiency of commercial and multifamily buildings with an intelligent direct current or DC power distribution system that's very easy to install. And we're going to be focusing our conversation around addressable lighting for smart buildings and controlling each fixture individually and the benefits of doing so and how that connects to kind of obviously IoT technology and the space in general. So all in all, I think you get a lot of value out of this. So please enjoy this episode of the Ask IoT video series. Welcome, Bolis. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Good to be here, Ryan.
You want to kick this off by giving a quick introduction about yourself and the company for our audience?
Right on. My name is Bolis Ibrahim, co-founder and CEO at Argentum Electronics. At Argentum, we build direct current or DC power distribution systems for buildings. We also build wireless sensor networks, and we make a software called a digital twin software, which is basically a digital representation of a building. So all sort of smart building technologies surrounding DC power at the core. And yeah, that's what we do in a nutshell.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks for that. So we've made a bunch of videos with you all about a lot of the stuff you just talked about, talking about power, talking about smart buildings and so forth. And today I know our goal is to kind of talk about addressable lighting for smart buildings, what that means, how it works, the benefits of that and so forth. And I think it'd be great if you could just kick it off by talking at a high level what addressable lighting for smart buildings is and kind of means.
Got you. So addressable anything means that you can address it, or you can communicate with it, or you can basically control it. And the level of addressability depends on like how granular you want it. So addressable lighting systems, what they aim to do is have the granularity so that you can address each individual light fixture or each individual light bulb. And that's
Okay.
like the ultimate granularity, right?
Right.
The systems that most of us have, like for example, in our homes, we have light switches, and the light
Right.
switches address the lights that are connected to those switches. In
Mm.
a smart building, for example, you might have addressable lighting systems that are digital or controlled through a digital twin. And those systems can control, depending on the granularity, maybe each individual light bulb. For example, like in your home, if you have Philips Hue, or if you have those like smart light bulbs, that's addressable lighting. In a commercial building, it's a little bit more complex into how they deploy it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I've always wondered, like we work in a building here and one switch controls one portion of lights, another switch controls another portion of lights. But when we were moving in, we were trying to figure. We wish we could have changed or been able to interact with each one individually based on things we were setting up, the
Yeah,
studio, things like that. So
yeah.
tell me about kind of what are the benefits of being able to control each of the fixtures individually.
Yeah, I mean, you stole it right away, right out of my mouth. Like that's called rezoning. So the problem that a lot of tenants face is when they come to change the layout of the office space or the layout of the building, they have to do something called rezoning. And so if you have a traditional lighting system where the zoning is defined by physical wire connections, so light switches that are
Yep.
physically connected to different sets of lighting, rezoning is a job for like an electrician, right? Like an electrical contractor would have to come in and physically rezone or rewire the lights. If you had an addressable lighting system, you could rezone the lighting based on software. So, like, I have a wireless switch right next to me,
Yep.
and this is an addressable light right next to me, and I could reprogram the switches to control different sets of lights, and I can regroup the lights. I can change which lights are controlled by which switch, and that's called rezoning.
Right.
Rezoning is one of the ultimate benefits of addressable lighting.
Are there cost or energy benefits as well to this? I mean, does it just make it more efficient that you can only need to, I guess, access the or the lights that you need at a given time? Does that help energy costs? What are the other kind of benefits you see from this type of, in a sense, solution being available in a building?
For sure. So if you have addressable lighting in terms of like cost benefits,
Yep.
so it is definitely like a upfront cost
Sure.
or a retrofit cost when you're doing a project. It's a really good time if you're doing an LED retrofit to do a retrofit for addressable lighting, or
Hmm.
in a new build to consider addressable lighting. So cost benefits in the long run are like rezoning. You never have to worry about rezoning when you get a new tenant in the building, or if tenant wants to like relay out the space. So rezoning for sure. Rezoning is expensive. In terms of other cost-related benefits, on the efficiency side, so the savings, like energy savings side, you could do a lot of really interesting things. So for example, you could have wireless sensors that do occupancy, and you could make that really granular for like different areas in an open concept office, for example. You could have like different areas of lighting or different virtual zones of lighting that shut on and off based on who's in what area of the office.
Yep.
So for sure, being able to control the lighting on off based on occupancy is a big benefit. The other one is something called daylight harvesting. So if you have daylight harvesting, what that is essentially is that you're sensing the amount of natural light that's incoming into a space. And when there's enough natural light, you don't really perceive the difference of lights being dim. So a daylight harvesting sensor will send a signal to the light to tell it to dim to a level where the brightness inside of the space is maintained based on the natural light that's coming in. So if you have addressable lighting, you can put a lot of these daylight harvesting sensors to make sure that the office is like evenly lit with the natural light coming in. And there are big savings for like daylight harvesting and occupancy sensing. You can just run a Google search and see what those numbers are, but they're pretty drastic.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the occupancy sensing stuff become more of a priority for buildings as we kind of got out of the pandemic and people are returning back to the offices. So I was always kind of curious what other benefits these occupancy sensors and the ability to understand where people are in a building will provide. And it obviously ties in directly to the addressable lighting kind of conversation we're having here, which is something that I didn't know a lot about. What does the process look like for kind of this sort of deployment? Is it something that if I'm listening to this episode and I run a building or own a building and I want to kind of install an addressable lighting system within my building, is it a fairly heavy lift? Is it something that is obviously you said there's an upfront cost, which is I guess expected, but what does that implementation look like? And if I do own a building or work or how to manage a building, what should I be thinking about as this to determine if this is a fit for for my building itself?
Yeah, so at a very high level, it's a different process for retrofits versus new builds. If it's a new build, you'll probably like go with something like power over Ethernet, or something like, for example, like what we do is we build direct current power distribution systems. They're called Class 4 systems, very similar to power over Ethernet, but higher power levels. And what that allows is just a reduction in the number of cables. And so if you're doing a new build, you would wire up the lighting with a backbone that delivers both data and power so that you can individually adjust the fixtures.
Gotcha.
You might, if you're doing a retrofit at the panel, the lighting panel, where all the breakers are for the lighting, typically buildings have separate lighting panels than everything else. So on the lighting panel, you might install a system that does addressable lighting at the panel level. There are several different ways to do this, like several different things on the market that do this, like power over Ethernet, the type of system we built, the Class 4 system. The benefits of those are you get direct current power for LED lights, so you get an additional layer of energy savings. And then for traditional retrofits, if you're still running on an AC or older type system, there are panels that you can retrofit and change your lighting panel to one that allows for addressable lighting.
Gotcha. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I appreciate you kind of shedding some light on this. Always wondered about it. We talk and have had guests on talk about smart buildings, new kind of deployments and applications for different technology, and this is a very applicable one, in my opinion. So for our audience out there who may want to learn more about this, follow up with any questions from this episode, what's the best way they can do that?
For sure. Best way is check us out online on our website. I'm sure there will be a link somewhere here, but argentum.ai. Also check us out on LinkedIn. You can contact us directly on our website or through our LinkedIn page, or check out our YouTube channel. There's so many different ways to get in touch with us. Go on Google and search Argentum Electronics.
Fantastic. Well, Bolis, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. These episodes that we've done with you and your team have been fantastic, and I think our audience is going to get a lot of value out of this one as well.
My pleasure. Thanks for having us, Ryan.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the AskIoT video series. I hope you found a lot of value in it. If you did, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps others find it and make sure that you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, if you have any questions or topics that you would like us to cover in this series, please leave them in the comments or shoot us an email at hello@iotforall.com. Other than that, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.